Okay. Alright, we're here again doing our Game Awards for 2023. It is New Year's Eve.
We are both barely recovered from being sick.
We're going to cough a lot.
A lot.
It's going to be great. We always go Game of the Year awards first, just get that going.
Yeah.
Do you want to start? And of course go from 3 to the top ones.
Sure, I can start. My third Game of the Year. I had a lot of trouble with this very last one. I was decided between two things, but I ended up going with Dredge.
Okay.
So I think overall it's just a very easy game for me to recommend to other people because it's like a very cohesive, like, they had a vision, they delivered on that vision. The story left a little bit to be desired at the end, but I don't know. I the tone of it, the ambiance, the vibes were all just really spot on, and I liked that it was horror themed and spooky without being too much for me, but it still had those moments of like
So it wasn't good vibes only?
It was not good vibes only.
Okay.
It was
That
spooky
wasn't on your
vibes
boat?
only.
No.
I had trouble deciding between this one and Dave the Diver, but and I still like Dave the Diver a lot, but I don't know, I just think this one was a more cohesive story, and I actually finished this one. I never finished Dave the Diver, so that says something about a game as well, even though I'm guessing Dredge is probably shorter, but yeah, that's my number 3, Dredge.
Okay. My number 3 is Street Fighter 6. I first got into fighting games, like, played growing up just kind of slapping buttons and everything. But 5 is the one that really took off, that I played a bunch, bought too many fight sticks, and still buy too many fight sticks to this day with 6 coming out and everything. I liked it. I'm happy that they put in a campaign mode kind of thing for people that are really new. But for me, it was I was bummed I couldn't change the difficulty on it, but I was still happy to see that. The multiplayer, the netcode's amazing. And I think that they did a lot right. And I played it for probably 150, 200 hours, which, hey, why not? We're already here. Let me slap my keyboard real quick and trying to fuck anything up. Okay, I played 142 hours, and most of those were in the first 2 months. It was kind of a weird flow of how do I play this game? How do I learn all these new mechanics? And then I kind of wrote it for a bit and then hit a wall with falling off on it, but I still played it for 142 hours and liked it. I'm sure I'll come back in when they add some more characters. I know Akuma's coming early next year, and I'm excited for that. But something about with the current, they haven't patched anything that wasn't flat out broken, and some of the current roster I kind of fell off. And you always have characters like JP where I don't even know what to do. So some of those, after 140 hours in, you're seeing the same characters over and over. I think that's what made me fall off. But I still really enjoyed the 140 something hours in there that I had, and yeah, I think they have something there. I just think it needs to a patch would be nice, and we haven't had a balance patch in 6 months now, so we'll see.
Really?
But yeah, they're just letting it go for a year and seeing what because it came out and people were oh, this character's broken. It's how every fighting game works, but at this point I'm we agree Ken is busted, right? We agree JP is broken, and the game has a lot of top tiers, but I don't know. It's a fun game. It's a weird game. I was hoping I liked it more, but it's still solidly it's my number 3 for a reason. It's a good amount of fun still. So that's my number 3, Street Fighter 6.
Cool. On to my number 2, Game of the Year. No surprise to anyone, my number 2 is Coral Island.
All right, there's the other one, huh? I was how's it not your number 1 right now? Yeah. Okay, go on.
No, there's that other one.
We'll get to that.
So Coral Island came out I looked it up, November 14th or something, so it hasn't even been out. It's been out for like a month and a half, and I have 140 plus hours in it. So it's a farming sim. Honestly, nothing about it is particularly noteworthy. I just feel like they just took the genre and just polished a lot of the things that are, annoyances, added some quality of life things. Yeah, are you looking up how many hours?
No, just keep going. Just keep. I'm getting to your hour count because it's got to be up there.
It's there. Just scroll down a little bit. Yep, there it is. I told you it was my top 10 all the time. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, it's a spiritual successor of the Harvest Moons and the Stardew Valleys. There's nothing about it that is groundbreaking, I don't think, but it just does it really well. And I am always searching for a farming sim to dump an ungodly amount of out. What is our cat eating? Okay,
he's just doing his thing.
Sorry, he was eating something. Yeah, I'm always searching for a farming sim, and this one cropped up. I'd been watching it for a while. It was in early access for a while. I waited until it was out of early access. It's still not finished, but it's still a damn good game. What's there is enjoyable and playable, obviously, since I put so many hours into it. It's just, there is a little part of me that's, like, bummed because there's very clearly pieces of the game that aren't finished yet that I will just never play because I've played 140 hours of it. I'm not going to come back or at least it's going to be another 3 or 4 years before I can come back and start fresh. So I probably won't see those things, and that's why I wait till things drop out of early access, but apparently people still do that even out of early access. So that's the downside, but overall, I do think they did it really well. Coral Island.
Nice. My number 2, which I was torn on even having this list, but I stand by it, is the Resident Evil 4 remake. This is not they slapped a coat of paint, they updated some graphics or like changed controls. Like it plays entirely different game. There's whole areas that are.
Is this a slight at me adding Mass Effect Legendary Edition to mine a couple years back?
Oh, for sure. But not just at you. That in general, I think like being like, wow, they did it. Super Mario RPG, best game of this year. You're like, well, it's just kind of this exact same game. This, if you played 4 and you played this one, you're like, oh, this is an entirely different game. Like it's. I wouldn't put Dead Space on here.
Yeah. Which
I didn't even play that remake, but it is like nearly 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a substantially different game. Like everything, like holy shit, no, I'm in a different game. So that's one of the highlights on it that I have a weird relationship.
Fireworks.
Fireworks?
It's New Year's.
It is New Year's, yeah.
That's gotta be fireworks. Good old gunshots or fireworks game. Welcome to Ohio.
Oh yeah, Resident Evil 4. But Resident Evil 4, that's one of the things that I thought was really cool about it, is that I actually went in, I have a weird relationship with Resident Evil 4 because I really loved 1 through 3, and even I really like 0. Lots of people didn't like that one. I finally played Code Veronica this year, and so I like that old style of them. And 4's big thing was come in and be big stupid action, like stupid. And in this, they kind of have a weird identity complex with the tone, but I guess I really liked 4 for what it was, but it was like I couldn't get away from the fanboy side of like. But that's Resident Evil, this isn't it. Like, what are they doing? It's a whole different genre now. And it's in that thing of the kind of big dumb action Resident Evil. Like, this is like way up there. I still like the original a little more, but I thought this one was really cool and a kind of cool darker theme. Like, the gameplay is fun. It's one of the games that I actually beat and then beat again within within a couple of days after finishing it. So that's always a good thing. Like, you beat a game and you're like, holy shit, that was great. I'm going to go back and play it. And they added DLC, which I heard is really good. Haven't played it yet, but picked it up. But yeah, it's just a ton of fun. Yeah, Resident Evil 4. Capcom taking my number 2 and 3 spots.
My game of the year. This is not the surprise. It's not a surprise at all. even though you were a toss-up. That other big one, Baldur's Gate 3, gets my Game of the Year. I feel like I've already beaten this to death, but I guess I haven't in this context.
Yeah, it's not recorded. You talking? Tell me again why you love Baldur's Gate 3 in a reasonable amount of time. We're 12 minutes with a gunshot break, so
True.
Don't take 12.
Yeah. I really like how the characters are written. It's the first time I've really enjoyed a game that's like that sort of turn-based combat situation. So that was kind of new to me, and there were challenges with learning that. But overall, I found that to be pretty damn enjoyable. I really just love the writing, and the characters are all fantastic. I totally agree that the voice actor for Asterion should have won that thing. Like, that is one of the best voice acting jobs I've played. Yeah, I put 150 hours into it, completed the game. It was one of those games that I almost didn't want to finish, and almost didn't finish because I was like, but that means I'll have to be done. I wouldn't say I 100%ed it, but I solidly 85%ed it. Yeah, I just love so much about that. I do tend to be the sort of person that spams A through NPC conversations in lots of games. And so a game that makes me want to seek out these conversations and want to listen to what NPCs have to say, I think is stand out for me. And this game was one of them. So I really like that. The biggest criticism I have for it is that it is not very beginner friendly in any stretch. They did not explain anything to you. And being someone new to the genre and not a big D&D person, there was a lot of stuff that was not explained or glossed over, or I found out way later. But other than that, yeah, I really liked it. Baldur's Gate 3.
Cool. Oh, and friendly reminder on Game of the Year picks. We played every game that has ever come out, and your opinion's wrong. Fuck you. Mm-hmm. My number one Game of the Year pick, the best game of the year, and as you know, the real gamer in the house, I'm going to tell you about real gaming. This fucking Pizza Tower. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
It's another game that I beat and then beat again and got the 101% ending or whatever. Tons of people compared it to the Wario Land games, or I forget, there was some Wario game where run around and collect stuff. And I went back and actually played those after that, and I kind of see some of it, but this feels like its own weird thing. It's a platformer where you're running around just collecting these different pizza ingredients, and you have to go hit out this block, and then a timer starts, and this song that's too good for what it should be in this budget game starts playing. And you have to get out of the level before the song ends, or this monster called Pizza Face wakes up and kills you. And it's that same loop. There's a new mechanic added that's unique to every single level. The art style's this fucking ugly MS Paint ass shit that's that, combined with almost Ren and Stimpy visuals at times, where it's ultra zoomed in and stupid. I adore it. I really like platformers. The sense of humor I thought was fantastic. Yeah, I loved the music. I loved the stupid art. I loved the unique things at each stage that made them all play different were great. And it's the platformer that other thing, it's stuck on PC. So this isn't on any console. So I have people like Josh who gave up playing PC games forever, and I'm like, well, all right, who can I bug to play Pizza Tower? It's literally nobody, so I'm just on Pizza Tower Island, hey guys, you should play it. Yeah. So I fucking love that game. Yeah, it's the other game that I had beat twice this year. So yeah, that's my number one. Was Pizza Tower. And you have picks for Late to the Party?
I have picks for Late to the Party, yes.
Do you have 3?
I have 2.
Okay, let me go first
Yeah.
either way then, because you started the last one, and
That's
then
just fine.
this way you can do your two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my number 3 late to the party, which these are games that were new to us that came out not in 2023, so 2022 or I guess earlier, yeah,
Earlier.
yeah, an earlier date. For me, my number 3 pick was a horror game called Night at the Gates of Hell. This was put out by, I want to say it's like Torture Star Productions or Studios or whatever. I have no idea. But it's like the kind of like Puppet Combo dev team group that they like. It's not all developed by them, but they help put other stuff out. This was a first-person horror game with like almost like PlayStation 1's like level of fidelity that actually had some good scares mixed in. It's got some really just weird, gross shit, and it's hard to even like talk through what makes it good without just, hey, go play this thing. Definitely has some like campy, silly elements too, but it was fun to just play through some like first-person horror where you still have those like survival horror elements of like limited ammo. It's not a full-blown shooter. It's not hide-and-seek horror. And I thought that was a lot of fun. There's definitely some really goofy shit. Like I had some like laugh out loud moments where I don't want to get into them too much, but like some of the characters are just absurd. What's that?
Plane?
Oh, it's just plain. Okay, sorry. Now I'm listening.
I think
it's just plain. And the other thing with that game was that on the same in the same files for it, they they had a bonus game in there called what is it? The Booty Cheek Freak. I don't even know. Like the Booty Creek Cheek Freak. I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look it up after this. But yeah, that whole, it was just a really dumb thing that all you had to do was the only way you could get haunted by this like butt cheek faced monster was to not shit on the floor in the bathroom. And that's what happened. Spoilers. And then you're on this whole thing like running from some like butt cheek monster. And it was just exactly like as short as it needed to be to like carry the stupid joke, and everything was like fart and shit themed, and it was stupid and funny. So yeah, one actually good fun horror game and one dumb comboed in thing that was just like with the game, and it was fun. So yeah, that was Night at the Gates of Hell. So number 3.
so. I struggled with this because I didn't have many games that I played that didn't come out this year. Or new games that I played for the first time, rather. So I only have 2. And my number 2 is Ember. It's one I played recently with my little sister and her boyfriend. It's cute. I think it's not... Nothing about the gameplay is particularly remarkable, I'll be honest. It's that sort of like Fall Guys, like dumb physics, silly grabbing onto things situation. You're putting out fires and you have objectives and little mini games to play with your friends and stuff like that. But it has a bit of a storyline that is absolutely hilarious. The villain is just like a Canadian guy who has a really ridiculous Canadian accent, and that's the gist of it, basically. I don't even know what... I missed the part where why he is like out to get you and kill you, but he is.
Is it fully voiced, or is it
Yeah,
like...
it's fully
okay,
voiced, and the guy has like a
text.
really comical, like over-the-top Canadian accent. And just hates you because you're not Canadian or something like that. Like, it's comical, it's cute, it's silly. I enjoy playing it. Yeah, like I said, not remarkable gameplay by any stretch, but enjoyable. I was afraid it was going to be like an Overcooked situation where that can lead to tensions running a little high, and this is much more of a... There is still enough of an objective to keep you going, and you have something to do, and you don't feel like you're just... Why am I playing a game when we could just be chatting? but without being too in a way of chatting sort of situation. That kind of hits that good middle ground of a party game, I think. Yeah, it's good. It came out in 2021. I checked. Okay. It was recently on sale, so it kind of went viral recently, but...
Anything else in that one?
Mm-mm. That's it.
And that one you're just fighting fires, right? That's, yeah. I'm not even sure you mentioned that. I forget.
That's basically it.
No, that one looks like it was fun.
There's other things too where like they have different game types, and one of them is like an Uber Eats ripoff, basically, but the house is also burning down, and you just have to deliver people food before the house burns down. It's so dumb, but it's funny.
That's funny. My number 2 pick was I've never heard someone say it out loud, so I'll go for it. It was Odalis: The Dark Call. This one, it was you could revisit levels, but it felt more like a more linear. It felt like the old Castlevania games that I like more, that are a bit more linear, where you kind of could complete a stage, maybe get a new item in there, and then fight a boss. And there's maybe some hidden power-ups along the way, and I thought it did that really well. I really liked the art, and like everything was just like creepy and gross, and all cool monsters and stuff. I thought the music was well done, and it was one that you still could hunt for some of the extras, like you could still hunt for the extra things, like the different armor pieces. And it didn't feel too overbearing, like for me when you're like, oh, go backtrack, like I'm the first to not want to do it. So this felt like it's maybe not entirely like perfectly linear old Castlevania is like how I really love, but it felt like it was right there, and I think I played it through in like 2 sittings or something. I just had a blast with it. Had some crashes along the way, but even like despite the crashes, like I fucking loved that game, so that was really cool. That was Odalis: The Dark Call. That's my number 2.
Alright. My number 1 late to the party game is Dwarf Romantic, which I don't even know if you
That was the tile one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a cute little game. I feel like it hit at the time where I didn't really have any sort of like cozy games. And it's a really good cozy game. You can play as kind of like intense or not intense as you want. There's variation there. I don't even know how to... It's like a puzzle game, I guess?
You're sort of like trying to connect tiles that have like things that could give you like, here's trees touching, cool, and you're building a forest, or there's water, or like meadows, right?
Yeah, basically.
I think that's largely
that's the base premise of it, and then there's like there's other little like the mini objectives that come up along the way too, like, oh, if I get 6 tiles of the forest, then I get this other thing that unlocks, or if I connect this train for so long, then I get that's the basic premise of it, but there's like mini objectives that pop up along the way that you're trying to do. It's just a really good shut your brain off game. On the Steam Deck it's fantastic, even though the controls are fucked and I had to remap them. Like, just didn't make any goddamn sense for me. So I remapped the controls, but it's a really good like waiting room game. Just yeah.
Can you like, are there stages? Can you beat them, or are you just like, I am playing Dwarf Romantic, and there's
yes.
Go in. There's
that's the thing is there's like that's the basic of the gameplay, but there's like a bajillion different like modes that are different levels of like difficulty. One of them's of course creative mode. And then where you can just kind of do whatever, and then there's other ones where it's like, oh, once you get a certain number of points, you win, that sort of stuff. So there's different, and then there's ones where it's like super ultra strict, and like it won't let you place tiles if they don't match sort of tier things. So there's...
When I walked in, it was to be like, there's tiles and that's a forest. So
yeah,
it's hard
I'm not saying it's a difficult game by
happening.
any stretch, and it's not like complex by any stretch either, but it's a very good like cozy game.
Yeah.
It's very good like turn your brain off game.
Cool. Dwarf Romantic.
Yes.
You can't even punch anyone in that game, so it's not a real one. And my number one late to the party game for 2023 is the original Pikmin. I maybe had like booted it up before, and I say booted up by like launching it like with Dolphin or something before. This year I got my Wii and threw some ROMs on it and stuff, and was playing GameCube stuff. So it's just using the hardware itself and plays great. So I finally did that and hopped in and played Pikmin 1 and just absolutely loved it. Like, there's something about the, like, oh, you only have this many days to go get this stuff and got to get back before night, that I think Pikmin 1 does so great, that you're going around, you're unlocking little shortcuts, you get the different types and find, like, the different things you can or can't do with them. And there's something about that loop that I think works really well, and that pacing of you have to beat the clock that kept it all fun and interesting, and I finished it and just loved it. So that was one that has been, God, what was that, like mid-2000s, early 2000s? That was like nearly GameCube launch title, if not shortly after, so it'd be early 2000s. And yeah, that's my top late to the party. I really love that. So chipping back through them now. I played 2 and didn't really care for it, and got 3 for Christmas. So hoping to check that out soon too.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's when I ought to give a shot. Like, I played Pikmin in passing, or seeing you play it. I feel like that's one that probably would grab me pretty good.
You might want to just start with, I mean, it depends. I don't know. I would imagine start with 4 unless you're planning on doing the journey. But
yeah.
I'm fine playing games that feel old because I'm old. You're less old, but you didn't play forever.
Back then, yeah.
I didn't come out. I didn't come out. I wasn't born in the Atari age, but I had an Atari 2600 growing up at my dad's. So like, even if it's a single button controller, I'll still play it. Okay. Did you fully fill out? I feel like there's no short of negativity with you. So.
No, of course not. I have 3 for this category. Yeah. Everything else I am fully
do you want to start, or should I?
I feel like we're probably going to cross over each other a little bit here, but we'll find out.
Why don't you go first?
My number 3 dishonorable mention, negative catch-all, was Remnant 2.
It's Remnant 2. That's my number 3 as well.
Oh man, that game just... I think it was pretty well reviewed, and that's the part that...
People love it.
People love it. We played a good amount of it. I don't know how many hours did we put in.
I want to say I might have put in slightly more than you.
Like 10?
I want to say I have like 8 or 10.
Yeah.
Remnant 2...
So we were really looking forward to
I had 13.2 hours in.
Yeah. So we were really looking forward to this. We enjoyed the first one a good amount. And hoping this was going to be like... Just take the same formula, make it slightly better. Like, oh man. And we just... Well, first off, it was buggy as shit. In ways that were really nefarious. Like, things that would just... I don't even... Would you classify that buggy? Like, just things could just not appear for you.
You could have... one thing, just making sure we're talking through stuff, is that if you're looking anything up, on your run, you can spawn in the same section that other people kind of have, but even if you get the same sections, you can have stuff not spawn in for you.
Yeah. And
it's a game that it's the biggest problem with Remnant 2, more so than 1. Like, 1 didn't have any hand-holdy anything. 2 is just flat out, I'll give them that they went bigger with the more environments and stuff and more potential weapons and gear, but it is so up its own ass for being obscure for obscurity's sake, and having like no good indicators to the players to find this stuff naturally. Yeah. You have to play this from a guide. There's some stuff you might stumble into, there's tons that there's no way 99% of the player base didn't find this. And
the catch is that it's not...
Doesn't like, feel good to find it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, there's other games, like, I know why people like Zelda a lot, is that, like, you could just stumble into anything, and every piece of the world is this cool little piece of something.
As far as, like, the two new ones, right?
Yeah, the two new ones. And, like, it's not that sort of discovery. It's not like you can just, like, you can find something cool at every twist and turn. It's like, no, you need exactly one thing to move on with the fucking game, and you cannot find it for the life of you. And no one has a guide for where it is, because it's randomly generated, and it might not even exist for your gameplay. Like, it's that level of just, like, what do you want me to do here?
In slightly, just making sure I'm not remembering things wrong, I largely thought that with not things you needed to progress the game, but much more so on if you want anything to make the game fun. Yeah. If you don't get any new loot or any new cool weapons or anything like that, the game kind of sucks.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's not like it locks you out of progressing the game. It just locks you out of things that actually make the game good.
Do you want to use the stock weapons for the entire game? Well, you're going to have to look shit up. Like, that's kind of how the game was, and I'm not that. I don't think you're that, apparently, because if you are all about it, like, I still stand by playing... I didn't care for Elden Ring, but playing the co-op mod with Ty, when he's like, I've beat this game 800 times, what do you want? And I'm like, give me a fun build, I don't know. And I just followed him. It was fun. Yeah. That it's... If you have someone who's going to be your Sherpa in those kinds of games, sure. But I fucking hate playing from a guide. And... that was, like, slam on the brakes, okay, like, how do I look up how to do this? And then even there, we got stuck on a door for no joke, like, 2-3 hours. Like, it was an entire night. And then we realized that we both needed to be, like, hugging nuts within, like, 2 feet of the door. There's no indicator when you get closer, like, oh, 1 of 2 slots or anything. Like, we were just looking for a key or thought we shut it or looking for something that we were both in the area but just not standing literally on top of each other, touching the door.
Yeah, you had to be like nose. Both of you had to be nose touching the door to your close.
And that was the night we stopped playing. Yeah. And then we were looking for those dumb coffin things, and then
it's just like most of the I don't know if
we got bad areas too, because the rock section is just dumb. You're like, that's literally a rock. Yeah. It's a rock with a light on its head in its upper rock area. Yeah. There were air quotes going on there, by the way. Yeah. But so that was where we're at. We were both really liked the first one. I felt it did a much better job about putting weapons and loot and pacing those well, and you just got them for playing mostly. Yeah. You can maybe like, oh hey, I walked over here. It's on the ground. Or there were some puzzles, but you didn't need to do them all to feel like you got that. We got literally nothing unless we looked random shit up. Yeah. And I mean random, like charging out of bounds into clouds to get armor. That was one of the ones that spawned for one of us, or didn't spawn for us. Yeah. There's a whole class that you have to like run out of bounds and die to go try to get.
We tried it. We must have tried it like six times between both of us.
It just wasn't there. Yeah. So we're like, oh, that's cool. So like that game doesn't want you to have fun. Yeah. I don't need games to be easy, but if there's loot in this game, can I have some, please? Because these stock weapons get really boring when you're 10 hours in, shooting the same few weapons.
Even the stock weapons were not even boring. Some of them were just garbage. Like,
I want some... okay.
Like, even just, like, do you remember we had to do that stupid, like, knock twice, go around this weird shipping container thing? Like, just the dumbest shit that, like, this is fine if it's an Easter egg, but this is, like... a critical gameplay element.
Every piece of loot felt like it was hidden like a fucking Easter egg. Yeah. That really does kind of...
The one sidearm that we got early on, you had to, like, go off of the main camp and, like, go into those, like, containers and stuff like that.
Oh, and you had to look at the bottom of the item the guy gave you at the start of the game, and that was the code, and you're like, I wonder where I'll find the code. You're like, oh, you didn't think it was the flashlight the guy handed you 10 minutes in the game?
If it was an Easter egg... fine, that's kind of clever. Anything, but like to get a functioning sidearm that's actually enjoyable.
It was to do anything. Is like consult the wiki. Yeah. So that's how I feel about it. I fuck that game.
Yeah, that was a big letdown. Yep.
It was also my number 3.
Yeah.
All right, you're up with number 2.
All right.
The cat's really cute.
He's really cute. He's wild this whole time. My number 2. Another one that... Well... The order on number 2 versus number 1 I'm not sure about.
Just pick one. Which is your number 2?
My number 2 is Ooblets.
Okay.
Ooblets, I checked, was on 2 past year hopeful for next year things on Game of the Year things. I've been looking forward to this game for years, and the only reason I ever even got to play it is because it finally ended up on Steam because of the kerfuffle with the leaks that happened with Epic Games Store earlier in the year, which I won't get into. All of it is to say it was exclusive to Epic until some documents leaked, and then they're like, okay, we might as well release it everywhere, because it invalidated the contract or something along those lines. So, finally ended up on Steam. I was stoked. And I played like 6 hours of it, and just was forcing myself to play the last couple. There's cute shit there. There's just not enough of it. I was just going, so they have a day cycle, right? I was just going to bed at 2 p.m., the equivalent of 2 p.m., because I'm like, I have nothing else to do in this day cycle. What do you want me to do? My sister is obsessed, probably has 50 fucking hours in the game, if she's not playing it right this second, and says that it expands a good deal, and has not had this problem. She's not currently playing it, at least Steam says. She does go on Invisible a lot. So theoretically, there's more there. She did not have that issue at all. I was just, maybe it's one of those, oh, it gets really good in season 2. I'm I'm not willing to commit to a whole season 1 situation. Man, there's just not a lot there. The stuff you can do in the overworld is, fine. You do, quests for people and get objects. It's just, simple fetch quests like any other game. Which, fine, whatever. And then you have, the whatever the opposite of the overworld is. The actual gameplay, little, battles you do with the Ooblets. And it's just, simple math. Get the most points in the most amount of time. I have a card, and it's fucking Uno. I have a card that gives me 2 points of this thing. And the other person loses 1 point, and I steal one of theirs. It's, the most... And it's cute! It's really well themed. The little, your little Ooblets are dancing, and it's a dance battle, and it's adorable, but, maybe it gets more advanced, but the tier at which I played was, none of the battles were ever any contest at all that I would win. And it was just alright, I'm just gonna play the cards that get the most points. Cool. I won. Just so little there. So... all those 2-3 years of waiting for this thing to come off of Epic Games Store, all for naught. I ought to return that, actually. I wonder if I still can.
I think it's probably been too long.
Yeah, it probably has. I would return it. That is how it's a dishonorable mention.
Yeah.
Boo.
Boo. In conclusion, boo.
Mm-hmm.
My number 2 is not necessarily a single game, but is we had 2 big games come out this year that for the sequel to come out, they just removed the other one from existence and slapped a 2 on it.
Oh.
That was Overwatch 2 and Counter-Strike 2, which Overwatch 2 replacing Overwatch 1 and Counter-Strike 2 replacing Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And with me being old man Nate over here, and a bit of a hoarder with movie collection and stuff, it's just fundamentally unsettling to ever... You can't ever go back and play this thing.
Yeah.
That I get with any multiplayer game, there's some amount of you can't go back to a patch.
Yeah.
But I own CSGO, and I guess now I own CSGO too. It's just weird to think that there's no if you want it, it's here, you have it. I'm just also, I'll give you this if you bought that other one too.
Yeah. Or
you can sell the other one. I get that it's the knife economy, and that's why they want to do that.
Yeah.
But it still is, it's just feels wrong to me to be this is a different game. You have fundamentally changed things, and it's gone.
Yeah.
I don't have it. There's no dedicated servers. There's no is there any way fans could play this if they wanted to, even if everyone else has moved on?
Yeah.
That's always something that I think is just horrible and wrong with games. It is kind of a nightmare off the preservation thing, which most multiplayer things are, but in particular, this is like, holy shit, like the files are gone.
Right. Like it's not even that you couldn't. It's not even that it's not even there for you to hop into like an empty game, or you could, like
it's just gone.
Yeah, it's just gone.
So that's number 2 is hey, can we not just delete the old game and slap a 2 on it? Yep. Which Overwatch was particularly egregious about.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty shitty. My number 1 dishonorable mention, which now let me just make sure I'm not insane. Because I'm a little concerned that I have the wrong... No, we're good. Totally 2023. We're good.
Does it feel like a broken record?
No, I had a crisis of like, it's Diablo 4.
Yeah.
And I had a crisis of like, wait, did this come out this year? And we tried to revisit it again. Like, did it come out last year? No, that was this year.
June 6th this year.
Yeah, in my predictions last year, I said I don't have high hopes for Diablo 4. I have no faith in Blizzard, and
it was your most anticipated, I believe, but being like, I
think it's gonna flop.
I think it's probably gonna flop. I really want this to be good, is I think how you put it.
Yeah, that actually tracks. I can check.
That was a pretty safe bet, Sarah.
Yeah, it was my number 1 most anticipated game.
Yeah.
And number 2 was Remnant 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, Remnant 2 was on mine too.
I am entirely unsurprised at all of the state of that. It's just not fucking fun. We tried it twice. We tried it right after lunch, and then just a couple months back, like last month maybe.
There was like a free weekend. They're like, well, do you want to poke back in and play? And it's just...
We tried it.
It's so fucking bland, right?
Yeah.
Is that where you're at? That's where I'm at. Is like,
none of the...
there's no
I
joy.
tried multiple different classes. None of the attacks or anything feel fun or exciting. And neither of us touched a health potion in the 2 hours we played both times.
Yeah.
So, and that was on the hardest difficulty, mind. So it's not difficult. Your attacks don't feel fun. What?
It is one of like, why do you play a game? What's the something about it is fun or feels good, makes the brain release dopamine. What in this game does something for anybody? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's tough. Grim Dawn is a tough act to follow in the genre, but it just highlights how bad...
That's for us. There's tons of people that like there's Path of Exile out there. Yeah. There's other ones that people like.
Sure, but even just along the... attacks are cool. You get a level up and get a new attack, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. Every time we play Grim Dawn, it's always like, ooh, what's this cool thing? Oh, this is cool. Fucking Doombolt. Gotta get Doombolt. None of that. I don't know. I've heard people still claim that apparently it gets better, but I'm not willing to sit through season 1 through 6 to get to good season 7.
We did this with Diablo 3, because Diablo 3, even there, it was really rough at the start.
Yeah.
It was the same kind of thing. The first time through, as hard as you could pick, it's a fucking breeze. Mm-hmm. And they did fix that sort of by just bloating enemy HP with later releases, because I played 3 shortly after I played the beta for 4. And it's just the same. I just feel empty. This feels like a different 3. It's different than 3, but it's in the similar wheelhouse of the second I can't it's such a weird thing that I don't even have the option to smack someone with my default weapon, that in a way that is I think you might be able to, but it's your basic ability is that much better, and it's weird that the loot feels like it doesn't impact how I'm playing.
Oh yeah,
if that makes sense. And that's one of the things in those games that I think I need that. So I just don't see the loop. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, on a similar tangent, which is a big pet peeve of mine in games, the UI is fucking god awful in that game. I was playing on a mouse and keyboard, which I would think would be the default for that genre. And I know you don't have to. You can play with controller and stuff like that. It was just bad. It was confusing, and I couldn't... I've played this genre of game for forever. I've played multiple Diablos, and I can't figure out your UI. Come on. I couldn't figure out how to get to... Just... I've played too many damn games to still be having those moments. If I do, it's just a sign of a bad UI to me, and that's a big pet peeve of mine. It's not hard to make a decent UI. Yep. So, that's just the final cap on my frustration with it, I think. It's there. It's a game.
It's a game.
It is a game. Confirmed.
It's a game. Anything else on that one?
No. That's it. It's a game. That was my number one.
My number one dishonorable mention, which it's been kind of a hard year for just about all of us, but I do think the games themselves coming out and the sheer volume has been like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But god damn, I'm just feeling for in particular, the developers that were acquired and then shut down this year. That there's been a crazy amount of layoffs and stuff, but that level of like someone be like, no, don't worry, we'll handle the money, and then they're like, hey, hey, people who made the Time Splitters games, we're closing your studio.
That's tough because it's like this is an industry that no one gets in. You don't just end up in video games. Like, to me, it feels like the equivalent of like a football team getting shut down. Like, everyone who's made it into that, getting laid off sucks. But getting laid off from a job you're like, whatever, I don't give a shit about the company, it pays my bills, is significantly better than like, ugh.
Well, there's some legitimately, like, I believe it's Free Radical Design made Time Splitters. They're one of the many people that fuck you Embracer Group bought.
Yeah.
And they I believe it was a like reformed the studio type of thing. Yeah. Like, we're like, oh my god, like we have all this talent, let's do this. Like we might be able to work on maybe the Time Splitters. And then like it was seriously like months after like the news of like, hey, we're reforming these guys. Like you close them, and it's on tons of these. It's just you wonder. I don't know. And I get for some people, like, if you didn't play Time Splitters, who cares about Free Radical Design? If you didn't, and it's.
But it's not. You should, even if that. Yeah. I don't give a shit about Time Splitters, but the fact that we're assistant. I mean, it's the same thing that's happening across every factor of a consumer good. Everything's just all of the small guys are getting overrun by the conglomerates, and this is a kind of slightly different case because they're getting bought up and then shut down. Like, I get that, but it's still just like, you want more diversity is better for us in video games and all these other things, and it sucks.
Yeah, in particular on this one, the Embracer Group, they had a government like grant not go through that they were banking on. I think was $2 billion. So they were just acquiring, like, Lord of the Rings, literally anything? Us. Sure. This? Us. So they own so much over, like, since, like, COVID hit. Like, since, like, 2020. They've just been buying everything. And they cut so much. Like, so much has been taken down. Another, similar thing that I'm shocked that Microsoft didn't help more. Apparently, like, half the people who worked on it were already gone anyway. But Redfall was well under development and was fucked up by ZeniMax, who was there before the Microsoft acquisition. But Microsoft owns Bethesda. Bethesda owns Arcane. Arcane Austin, they were the ones stuck working on, what did I just say? Redfall.
Yeah.
Fuck that game. That game tanked, and Arcane Austin, who made it, they're dissolved. They're done. They shut the studio down. You're fucking Microsoft. Take the punch. You're like, these people made the Dishonored games, and I believe they also made the recent Prey game. And you're just going to let them go. So if you're going to play we're buying you guys, don't worry about it, you have to be able to take a hit. Like, come on. So that's my thing. Fuck that trend of buying out companies and either not supporting them or flat out just like closing them because you're stupid.
Fuck that.
That's my number one.
Yeah, that's shitty. I agree.
Okay. Can I kick off honorable mentions? Or do you want to go? My number 3 honorable mention / positive catch-all of 2023 It was actually, I had never watched, and I think it's maybe only, I don't know how many years they've been doing it, but 3D Realms puts on their own, because everyone's broken off doing their own like little direct marketing thing, that they put on their own thing called Realms Deep. There's this Realms Deep 2023, and it was like, I still think I have like 10 minutes left in it. I realized I didn't finish it, but I already wishlisted so much shit. But in watching Realms Deep this year, it was just a shit ton of like indie PC titles and tons of stuff that's on like the old 3D Realms like Doom engine and stuff like that. And there was just really cool stuff shown off. I have tons of demos. I I wishlisted a bunch of stuff. Followed some others, and it's just cool seeing that. It's like the PC Gamer one is half an advertise. I mean, on this they fly like, hey, play the commercials, but the commercials are the games. They usually like, oh, we brought Lisa Su from, I think it's her name. I'm probably messing that up horribly. The CEO of AMD comes on and is like holding, here's this new chip. And they have the dumb, like, trying to be funny bits, which they still do here, but it's heavily, heavily skewed towards, here's a fuck ton of cool games.
Yeah.
And I liked a bunch of them. So, yeah, that was cool. Finding out that's a thing. Definitely looking forward to watching that next year.
My number 3 positive catch-all was that towards the end of the year, there was a slew of really cool crossovers between indie titles that I just appreciate the fuck out of the fact that they've done. There was the Dredge Dave the Diver one, which I haven't played and I want to, and then Cult of the Lamb did a crossover with Don't Starve Together. And those are just like, I just love the idea of it. It's like these smaller indie titles that have all gone relatively viral. So I struggle to call it like Cult of the Lamb small by any stretch, but like, I don't know, it's just a really cool thing to see. Like, I love, one of my favorite games of all time is Don't Starve. And so to see, that game is like 12 years old now. And to see someone, a big viral game like Cult of the Lamb do a crossover with them, it's just so cool. And like their art styles fit together really well. Like they both have a very similar like feeling of like cutesy little characters in this really fucked up universe. So like the crossover makes a lot of sense. I haven't played either of them, this one or the Dredge one, but like it's just a really cool thing whenever it's just developers get together and you can tell it's just like, this was not to make money. This is just like a cool thing that they're like, hey, you know, it'd be pretty neat. Let's do this. And like the Dredge Dave the Diver one, similar thing. Like those two came out back to back, and they were both like ship on the water, like similarly themed. So I remember whenever they like kind of came out, it was like, oh yeah, this is like the theme right now. It's like spooky shit in the water. And Dave the Diver turned kind of not to be that, but like, in fact, the crossover with the Dave the Diver that I think is really cool is like, I went into Dave the Diver thinking it was going to be spooky shit in the water, and it wasn't. And now that they're adding Dredge stuff in, I'm like, alright, so this has got to be spooky shit in the water now. Dave the Diver's spooky version, like, this has got to be great. So I just, it's a great thing to see. Just like smaller, more indie developers just doing crossovers of games that got popular, because fuck it.
Yeah.
So, that made me happy.
My number 2, which we won't spend too much time on because Sarah had already, was actually Dredge. I picked that up. I think you were out of town for that weekend, or you had left.
Possibly.
So I basically went upstairs and just was, a dirty pirate man, not pirate man, salvage, a seaman, a dirty seaman, with me and Dale. So me and the cat just hanging out in the recliner and just being spooky fishing boys, and it was fun. I played through it. It was definitely a fun way to spend those handful of hours on. I think by the end you're ready for it to be done.
Yeah. Still
Still wish the ending was maybe a little better.
Yeah.
But it was a fun experience, and yeah. It was fun just hanging out with Dale and playing that game, and that was literally all I did. I sat in a dark room and played that the whole time you were gone. It was fun. That was my number 2.
Yep. My number 2 positive catch-all honorable mentions is Pizza Possum. Very short game, but just dumb and silly, and we were sitting on the couch next to each other screaming. You know, like, that's the sign of a good game to me, is whenever we're just, like, you're just yelling. You're just in your house, two grown-ass adults sitting in front of the TV screaming because, like, a fucking dog spotted you or something. Like, it's dumb. There's not a lot to it. It's short, but it was just fucking fun.
Yeah.
So,
it was
just a fun game.
It's hard to criticize too much when a game's like, you're like, this is like, what, like $10?
Right.
Maybe, I don't even think it's $10. And you're like, you know what the genre of game is? You're a sneaky, mischievous raccoon or possum that's running around eating all the food. Like,
right.
There's not many games like it. It's silly. Yeah. It's hard to get that frustrated with it. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Went around and for what it was a fun little playthrough.
Yeah, like that's why it's not a groundbreaking game by any stretch, but no. I enjoyed our time.
It was the objective. They just go, "Wah!"
I know, but like,
just start laughing.
It's it's a very charming game. Like, it's just silly and it's enjoyable to play. So that was my number 2. Yeah. Pizza Possum.
Pizza's cleaning up this year.
Seriously.
My number 1. Because that's where, number 1 honorable mention for 2023 is Receiver 2. So Receiver 1 was like, I think it was the thing that came out of, there was like a game jam event that people put together a game where you walked around and were trying to find these tapes, and they were in this weird empty world with these turrets that would try to shoot you, and they had like kind of complicated controls on trying to actually like manipulate the like handguns you would have, and you would try to like shoot the turrets with the limited ammo that you have and run up and grab the tapes. And that was the first one, and it was cool. Like, okay, it's kind of cool. 2, with this not being like a game jam event, they actually had time to work on it. Built it out, like actually wrapped much more of a story around it. There's more guns. There's what I went in being like, I don't know, like Chris Redfield used it, or like they used like the like M9, I guess the M92 FS, the Beretta. I think I like that gun. That gun's pretty cool. So, like, that's probably like, and you're like, oh, Desert Eagle's a big fucky to like shoot, so there's a lot of kick. That's about, and you have like from what the guns you've used in a game that you've enjoyed, and this is specifically all handguns.
Yeah.
I never really knew any that I hated. You play this game and you go in being like, oh, maybe I have a couple opinions, to be like, they spawned me with a fucking yeet cannon. It's really funny because half of the game, not half of the game, but a big thing in the game is and you're listening, the tapes that you're finding are mixed in, there'll be story bits, because there's this weird sci-fi thing going on, which actually is pretty cool, and there'll be, think of like daily affirmation things mixed in with gun safety. And you'll pick up one that'll be like a sad story bit or a weird thing in the lore about what's happening, and then you'll get one where it's like this. I forget there's a drill sergeant who has like rules of gun safety. They're like, the first blah 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 rule of gun safety is this, and so you're listening to those, and like a bunch of them are just talking about like dumb things on like controlling your breathing or making sure, or talking about the ins and outs of like how some guns were falsely manufactured, some that you're kind of using that like just tons of dumb things along the way, or like how to clear a jam with like most semi-automatics and stuff. So you're going through those. It's lots of practice, and it's lots of fucking up what you should be practicing in a pinch because something runs at you. You're like, oh fuck it, you try to shoot it real quick, or your gun jams because it's a piece of shit, or you do something stupid mixed in there. Or they have in there, which is, it's not realistic, but you have to press and hold to holster. Otherwise, you'll just shove the gun in your holster and shoot yourself in the leg. And some guns are I think the Deagle's a one-hit kill.
Yeah.
But all of them feel mechanically different and have like pros and cons. And I thought the story was really cool. And it was funny that you go in like thinking like, oh, okay, who cares about whatever, to being like, you're like mad that they gave you a gun. You're like, do I just like fail this level on purpose? Like, I don't want to use this thing. But then you get to the spot where you're like, holy shit, I cleared like a double feed and took that sentry flying at me out in that time. You're like, I am a god. And then the next time you just like, holster a gun wrong and die, and you're like, I'm a fucking idiot. So
it's
that game's really good. Super recommend.
I remember whenever it's one of those games that there's a slew of games that you're just dead silent focus and just fuck. Like it's one of those games where it's like you're either totally zoned in or it's just you're fucked. Like
yeah, and that's one of the things. The tone of it, you're sneaking around and you're trying. There's tons of things you're trying to like. You could maybe see a bit more or detect a bit more. There's some that every once in a while a turret won't be activated yet, but will if you move in front of it. Yeah. So every once in a while you hear a turret like come to life like a chirp, and you're like, "Fuck!" And you're I don't even know. I'm just run like get behind something. So it's a lot of fun. Surprised with the story about how cool that was, and the guns are just fucking fun. Yeah. So that was Receiver 2.
Cool. Do I have... Oh yeah, my number one. So, I've already mentioned it a couple times. My number one honorable mention is Dave the Diver. Struggled with putting this one in my top games of the year or not. This Dave the Diver and Dredge are pretty damn close. I didn't end up finishing Dave the Diver. I still need to come back to it and finish it up, but I went back and forth on this game a lot at first. At first it was like, oh, there's like a restaurant. I don't want to do a restaurant. Just like managing a restaurant doesn't sound fun to me. But it's like kind of a throwaway part of the game almost. Like it is, for every day cycle you go through, it is like less than a third of, it's like a fourth of your time is spent on the restaurant part, which is just more like standard, like, oh, this person wants this thing, take this, like the what was it, like Cooking Mama tier thing, like, make this thing, take it to this person, like, very rudimentary. I don't know. That part is not my favorite. The rest of Dave the Diver, it's just wacky and cool, and it is an experience of a game because they've mashed so much into it. I don't think that any one part is like, this is what you come for, or any one part is like, this is what makes it a good game. It's just the conglomeration of everything that game is fucking doing at once. Like, you have a farm at one point, you have a restaurant that you're managing, you do the fishing thing, there's mermaids and shit, there's like like, they just do everything. You also have like, everything is a nod to some other game. Every single thing. There's a dude that's just like a fat, overweight Ash Ketchum who's like is keeping track of all the different species of fish that you've caught, and they all have cards, and you can get holographic ones and stuff like that. Like everything is just a knockoff of some other game, or just like a nod to another game. And the cool part is that you never really know what you're gonna get. So like every day that goes by in game, you have some new weird ass shit that's just like, what is this? There was a whole side story about a cat that you could just pet, which I loved. But like the fact that they even added that in over a cat that's basically just a set piece. Like it's got a lot of charm. It's got a lot of quirkiness. It's just, you never know what you're gonna get. It's very well executed chaos of a game, I think.
Do you think I would like that game?
I
like punching things a lot.
It has no...
You can shoot the fish. I've seen stuff.
And you can also punch the fish.
And it's not to say that's... But that is most of the games I play.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you would appreciate the humor in it, and I think you would appreciate, like, the chaos of, like, just, like, what is happening? And just... There's so much shit going on at any one point in time in that game. Not in a way that's overwhelming or, like, you have a lot to do, just in the sense that, like, what is this? What am I looking at? Like, I think you would appreciate that side of it, because I think it does the nods well. Like, some games, it's like, they don't... Some games reference other games and do those, like, pop culture nods in a way that's just kind of like, yeah, we get it. It's so-and-so. And this one is one that it does it well. in my opinion. I think it's funny and it doesn't waste it. It spins it in ways that is amusing, even though you know it's a nod to things. I don't think you have any interest in the gameplay.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Frankly, the fishing stuff is cool, but it's not scary at all. Which any deep sea diving thing I expect to be kind of scary, and this one is not it. And I don't think it's grindy, but there is that sort of like repetitiveness to it that I feel like you would be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So, I think the humor, like if you watched some highlights from it, I think you would enjoy a highlights video of like some of the clips and stuff like that, but I don't think you would actually enjoy the gameplay.
Okay, hey, fair enough.
Which one are we doing?
Most anticipated games.
Yeah. I can start. I'm fine with that. Mine are not ordered, really.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, however you just want to just pick one. We usually would alternate here, but
yeah.
So this is most anticipated games of 2024, right?
Yeah. I struggled with this one. There was no standouts that I was like, oh fuck yeah, I'm so excited for this to come out. There was like, these are more for me like, I'm interested to see what happens with this sort of tier things for me. I struggled with this one for a bit because I didn't really have any that jumped to mind as like, they weren't Diablo 4 or these big games that I'm like, I'm counting down the days sort of thing. So my number 3 is this is kind of a catch-all and kind of, I have a slew of early access titles on my Steam wishlist that I don't even know if they'll come out next year. I just want them to come out, please. Like, as full titles. So that's kind of my number 3 was like my catch-all for all of the, like, half of my wishlist.
Is all, yes.
It's just like, can you guys come out of early access already, please? It's more of a theme. Mm-hmm. If I had to pick one out of there, Slime Rancher 2, I guess.
Okay.
I like Slime Rancher 1. It was a good cozy game, so I don't imagine 2 will be groundbreaking by any stretch, but it was enjoyable, so. Mm-hmm. It's my number 3.
My number 3 is a game called Pacific Drive. It looks like a sci-fi horror driving game. I'm not sure how spooky it gets from the trailer, but it looks like there's like weird like floaty shit going out there, like more like Alien or like our reality's falling apart, but you're in this like shitty station wagon trying to like scrap parts and keep it alive. And
yeah,
I do think that there's something to be said for like having to work with shitty equipment in a scary situation makes it worse, and especially like I can picture like just the thing of like your car breaking down when something's chasing you and being like, what do I do? Like just trying to get it to go. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I still think back to there was a weird indie horror game that you were flat out being chased, and it was like a car chase but in a horror context of trying to elude people, like in like the woods. And I don't think that ever came out. And I've been chasing that thing mentally of like, is there a game like this? And this isn't quite that, but of like, horror car game sounds really cool to me. So Pacific Drive is my number 3.
Cool. My number 2 is Greedfall. I know very little about this series.
Wait. Greedfall?
2? Yeah.
Oh, is there a 2?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have good news for you. I think that came out.
Yeah. No, I think it may not have an actual date, but I think it's supposed to come out next year.
If you're just hoping it loosely comes out and it doesn't have a date, then yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. You're good.
It's been announced for a bit, but yeah, it looks cool. I heard someone describe it as like like all of the good things from a couple different series of RPGs that I like, and that was enough. I'm like, all right, I'm cool. I like RPGs. It's been. I almost just said it's been a while since I've played one, but I think I just One is...
I didn't see you for a month and a half.
Yeah. For which one? I don't know. But, like, is Baldur's Gate... I guess.
Is Baldur's Gate an RPG?
Yeah, you're right. It's not... but it's very different from, like, a first-person sort of RPG.
Sure, it's still totally an RPG. And you played it, that was your, 39 days straight or whatever that Steam told you.
Yeah, that was my
I did not see her for over a month straight.
Yeah, that's fair. More where I was going with this is, like, I was keeping a very skeptical eye on Starfield, and it came out, and I'm just like, ugh. So, like, having another one of those sort of, like, first-person RPGs, like, I felt like I was kind of looking forward to one and didn't get it this year, so this is in that similar vein of that.
Yeah. And don't worry, there were too many good games this past year, so you can skip Starfield.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, my number 2 is one I actually got to play a demo for, so it's, like, confirmed, like, please give me this as soon as possible, is Iron Meat. This is, like, the, like, horror Contra game that there's these weird, like, fleshy things getting stuck into, like, inanimate things like buses or, like, buildings and turning them into monsters. And other than that, it's basically just, like, it feels like Contra 3, which is my favorite one. But there's really cool horror elements, and the monster designs are cool, and the bosses were fun, and it had, like, the longest demo it was like 3 stages. I was like, how long is your game? So that's my only worry is, like, did you show me too much? Like, how much
all
is
the good
3
parts
stages?
in the... Yeah.
I think there's no way that this is all the good parts. I trust that they'll have more. I just don't know if they let me play half the game.
Yeah.
That's my only concern. But other than that, I'm like, that was fucking awesome. Give me the rest of it. So yeah, it's basically Contra 3, but with horror elements, and it feels like I love the weird, fleshy, mutated shit. That's why I like John Carpenter's The Thing so much. It's why I like I'm got the stuff for Left 4 Dead up here for just like when it gets into like body horror, feeling like bloated with tentacles coming out of their face, and yeah, I'm pumped for it. So Iron Meat, number 2.
Cool. My number 1 is Avowed. I don't know if you remember seeing this one.
They all run together.
They all run together. This one is an action RPG by Pillars of Eternity makers.
Okay.
Obsidian.
Okay.
But more first-person situation looking thing.
Is this actually truly by Obsidian at this point?
So.
Okay, wasn't sure. I think you're right, because they have one that's I've seen stuff for, and they had a bigger deep dive. I just don't remember how much. I think that's got to be the one I saw.
Avowed is an upcoming action role-playing game.
You just turn the phone?
Yes, by Obsidian Entertainment.
Yeah. I'm sure it's the right one, yeah. So it's Obsidian, and they're owned by Microsoft. I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah. Cool. Not a huge fan of Pillars of Eternity, obviously, but this one seems slightly different, so could be cool.
Yeah.
And if there's some good stuff in Pillars of Eternity, I would think that as a studio, given that they've developed Pillars of Eternity, like, I have some faith in them, even if it's not, those games weren't exactly for me. So, yeah, looking forward to see what happens with it.
Yeah. My number 1 is the same one that's been on most anticipated for 3 years now. Is No More Room in Hell 2. Please, for the love of God, come out.
Yeah.
The other were like, I just want to play this game. The other thing is I know there's no way Josh builds a computer to play this game.
Yeah.
And that hurts. Yeah. So I think I'll be able to play it with Ty. And the other one that is, I guess, a little concerning is that this was just people doing this in their free time. And the both good and bad is they're like, hey, a publisher works with us. But that always, to me, I'm like, no! Like, you could have publisher interference. Hey, you should make this. Like, the thing I love about No More Room in Hell is that this was just, they had a vision. These people did it in their free time. If you want something different, fuck you. This is our thing.
Yeah, it's the definition of a passion project.
Yes, and there's lots of things that you're like, well, that's kind of like hard and players might get whatever. Fuck you. That's our game. We like this. And it's like,
yeah.
They nailed slow zombies. They nailed the you don't always get infected when you get bit, but there's a high chance.
Yeah.
So when you're waiting to see, like, ooh, does my vision start to change a bit? It's the, like, those next 30 seconds are like, no, we'll find you medicine. No, like, like playing that, like, flat out. There are times where we're like, no. Like, you're like, I got bit. I'm sorry. It's like, and the times when your vision's nearly gone and you're trying to, like, hand off everything you can but fight with the ammo you have left, like, it nails... If you like zombies, this nails the slow zombie. Yeah. There's fast zombies still, but it nails the threat of slow zombies. That one... All you need to do is fuck up once and you're done. So, please come out! Please! That's my number one for next year. Fingers crossed. So these ones, I think it's best to just, read through your list, confirm or deny, and I'll do the same, and we'll do the same, read through your list on gaming predictions.
Sure. Do we go top to bottom, or?
Make sure we're doing a retrospective on our predictions from last year, the things that 2023 has ended.
Yeah.
What out of our predictions came true, partial credit, whatever.
Oh,
just bring them up and laugh at
I thought this was, like, addressing the predictions from last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
As in what you predicted last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
One sec, got a cough. Dying.
Yeah. My number one. Ooblets came out. It was on my predictions for, like, the past 3 years running. Fucking sucked.
It got on Steam. So
yeah,
hey, check mark.
Technically correct. It still sucked, and that sucks.
You got it. Check mark. We'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at you. Saying the sooths.
Yep.
Let's go. Just
Diablo 4 did flop. Yeah, my one last year was like, I think it's going to flop.
That's the thing.
I think it's going to flop.
Financially, probably did okay at least at launch, but like reviews, it's no one was playing this game. No one likes this game, so I will give you credit. I think you're 2 for 2.
Yeah. All right, last one, Nate.
Okay.
How many controllers did you buy in this year?
Ooh. I just bought an SN30 Pro. That's on the way.
Okay.
That is in. It was ordered this year, not delivered, but it was bought.
It was bought.
I bought a TE2, so another fight stick because I'm dumb. I bought 2. Well, shit. I technically bought 3 Mad Catz. What are these? I used to know the name. They're a Mad Catz fight pad. I broke one of them. And I stole parts from it to put them in the third one that I bought because I broke number 2. But I'll give you that so far up to 5.
Okay, well I've already won. I said at least 3.
At least 3. So yeah, you already won. You won on Mad Catz alone. You won in, like, January. And I'm like, I can do this. And I'm like, I don't know how the basic wiring was this fucked up. Like, I swear I matched things and somehow shorted it. I tried to do a breakaway cable mod. It didn't work. And I'm trying to think, that might be it. So but 5. It also totally might. I think that's it. I think it was 5. Yeah.
I said at least 3. It was
so you're 3 for 3.
I'm 3 for 3.
You did a lot better than me. Are you ready?
Yep.
My predictions were Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition nonsense delays into 2024. That wrapped up this year. No. Not a check. The PS5 can actually be bought off shelves at stores in Q4 2023, 3 years after launch. It can. It probably was accessible earlier. I think it was more like Q2, Q3. So I think, like, I wouldn't. That's partial at best.
Yeah.
But we're at the spot, like, if you wanted one, you could go get one. There were bundles even there of like, hey, well, you can get it shipped to your store in like 4 days. Like I checked at the time of I was reviewing them. So, hey, we did it. You can finally get those. The next Nintendo console is announced. That's a fucking no. And I had on here, totally not gonna happen. But Valve announces the Steam Controller V2, inspired by the Steam Deck, in parentheses, please Valve. I'm a Steam Controller advocate. No one else liked the fucking thing except me. That didn't happen. And my other didn't happen, because I suck. was that my 2023 Game of the Year list doesn't contain any full-priced games. 2 of them were full-priced. My winner was like a $15 game, but my other 2 were not. So yeah, you did great. I got debatably partial credit to a wrong on one, and then I guess wrong on all except one that is maybe partial credit, if not wrong. What are your predictions for next year, Sarah? For 2024?
First off, I predict that I'm going to finally get around to playing Phantom Liberty at the beginning of this coming year.
As in hit the DLC portion?
The DLC portion, yeah.
Because you started.
And then we're going to get to the Game of the Year awards, and you're going to give me shit for wanting to put it in my Game of the Year award list. Because it's an expansion, not a full title.
What could you honorable mention? You want to put it in Game of the Year?
I'm just saying, I think you're going to give me shit for wherever I put it.
Okay, I feel the only thing valid would be honorable, so we'll see in your prediction.
One of my predictions is that a farming sim shows up in my top 3 once again.
Yeah.
I guess we're switching it up, and I'm predicting new Nintendo hardware this year. Coming year.
I've basically given up on predicting that front. Mine were very local predictions because I flopped hard. So I only had 2 predictions. Is one, I actually think this is the year that Andrew finally buys a new game PC, and I think what does it is I think it's because Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 comes out. And his computer's too shit. Yeah. That if it can run, it looks like ass. And he still is like, no, I need PC. I need it. I'm like, dude, buy a console. Like, Andrew, you're listening to this. Just buy a console. It's so much cheaper. You could have Game Pass. It would be great. You and Josh could play on the same platform. It would be amazing. But I think that's what's going to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he has it in him not to play that game. And I know that computer doesn't have it in it to play it well. But I have been shocked. But that game, it looks too good. There's too much going on graphically. I think there's no fucking way his computer There's no way.
It's the year. 2024.
So I think Space Marine 2 is forcing his hand. But it's been like 10 years of like, yep. Saving up for a gaming PC. Like, dude, if you put a quarter a day in a little jar, you could buy one by now. You're full of shit. And my second prediction I have this year, the only other one I have, is that all of my 2024 late to the party games were released in 2023. I know I joked, haha, we played everything. Our opinions are law. Fuck you. I missed so much shit.
Yeah.
I have so much stuff I want to play. And I'm not saying there's no way, but I think my late to the party list is going to be stacked. I'm sure there's still good games coming out next year that I'll have eat my time, but this year has padded out my backlog so much.
Yeah.
So that's my prediction.
Yep.
Yeah. That's all we got. Do you have anything else you wanted to?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else of note. You kind of fucking sucked, except for video games.
that was honestly it. It's like this year was ass, except the video games themselves were fantastic. Yeah. Like in volume and quality, mostly. There's always does.
Yeah.
But there's genuinely tons of shit on my wish list and stuff I even have bought or have had bought for me that I'm like, I need to play this.
Yeah.
But goddamn, this year sucked.
Yeah. I haven't played as many games as I wanted because of health reasons. That's the end of this year has been fucking sliding sideways through the finish line to find. Oh.
And one that it's almost. I'm trying to think of this right now because I'm trying to think of if we finish this year.
Yeah.
And it's not going to last because it's like it's a problem of things that just came up. But I'm almost thinking like, what are gaming resolutions?
Yeah.
I still enjoyed my time in them overall. I think they were at least one was more worth playing than the other. But I would typically avoid long games, but I really think I really need to look up every last game before I like start it. Of like, how long is this? And like, flat out, I picked wrong by picking like the two big Souls games that came out this year were Lies of P, which I didn't play, and Lords of the Fallen, which I did play, and I still enjoyed Lords of the Fallen. It was all right for what it was. But Lies of P is definitively, from everything I've looked into and anyone I've talked to, it is the better game.
Yeah.
And there's the aspect of, like, if you only have so much time and this many games coming out and, you know, a shelf to build that eats a month of your life, everyone in your household except you, or maybe including you, is having health issues and you're just trying to keep the house afloat.
Yeah.
You don't have time. And I already play really small games anyway, but between that and like Alan Wake 2, where that was most of my vacation spent playing that, I'm like, man, like by the time I rolled credits, I'm like, I would have rather played like, anything else. Like,
damn it, I chose wrong.
You're like, man, that was it? Okay, I would have rather been a cowboy, and like a stealth cowboy in the West, like,
yeah, in
like a horror spooky thing.
Yeah, I'm happy with where I landed on that. For me, turned out pretty well. Like, I skipped Starfield, and I have no regrets about skipping Starfield.
You dodged that. You didn't spend time on stuff that...
No. And then Baldur's Gate was a bit of a Hail Mary for me. Everyone was talking about it, so I was like, honestly, this is so dumb. The reason I ended up doubling down on Baldur's Gate is because I have a subreddit of just like a bunch of women who play video games, and everyone was posting their cute little characters, creator things, and I was like, oh, these are so cute. I want to make a character. 150 hours later.
That was why you picked it up?
That was the final straw. Okay. I had one of my buddy at work was also like, hey, this game's great. Like, I think you'd like it, whatever. Like, and everyone was talking about it. There was lots of things going on, but that was the final straw that was like, fine, I'll fucking buy it. Mm-hmm. So like, that was such a Hail Mary for me, even though it was a Hail Mary for me personally. I knew it was a good game. I didn't know if I was going to like it.
Yeah.
And that turned out great for me. Coral Island was another one that I was like, it dropped into 1.0 recently, but I was still like, I don't know. And there was a brief period of time at the start, I was like, I had a couple bugs and stuff like that, 150 hours later.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I lucked out on that front this year, on just games that clicked really well for me. The only thing I fucked up this year was I should have just jumped straight in Cyberpunk. I got it in my head that I wanted to, if I was going to replay Cyberpunk for the Phantom Liberty DLC, I was going to make a new save and start from the beginning. And I don't necessarily regret that, but everyone's already talked about it. Yeah. And now I'm like way behind the curve. And it's not the end of the world, like I'll still enjoy it and everything like that, but like...
I thought you meant more off time spent.
Yeah, time spent. But I know, but like I love, like I generally enjoy Cyberpunk a lot. So like I don't feel like I'm wasting time, but like I got sick and everything, so it was like right whenever the time I had already spent getting my character up until like I could have just completed it. You could have I could have just finished it.
That's the hard part is you like I do feel like it's like you don't know what's coming up, you don't know what other game might just be like, wait, that's out? I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Like,
wait, the next 3 months of your life are going to be health issues?
Yeah.
Fuck. I mean, it's whatever. That's my only gaming regret is that I should have just jumped straight to the DLC. I thought I knew. I thought I was like, I have all this time on my hands. Of course I'm going to start a new character. I don't want it to be over too soon.
Thinking about it more, like, less about resolutions and gaming regrets. I'm like trying to almost reframe my mind. I was trying to be positive.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's,
But as far as, like, you chose the wrong games, like, that's the closest thing I can think of.
Even there, like, I still stand by, both of those, I would have stopped playing if I really didn't think it was there. But you're just like, oh, I kind of chose wrong. Like, Lords of the Fallen still, it's a fun game. I enjoyed it, I beat it. But I would have had a better time playing Lies of P, and sometimes you look at the roster of games and you're like, Lies of P is like sixth in line of what I want to play right now.
Yeah.
That if I just had just time right now, you're like, yeah. I chose wrong. Yeah, sometimes you're like, oh man. What was that?
I chose wrong too.
Yeah, I thought I had some other dumb...
Was it on the gaming regrets tangent, or?
Might have been. I don't know. One of the other ones that I have the weirdest relationship with early access games, in that I've been burned on them in every single way, and eventually was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not buying any of you. And other than No More in Hell 2, because the first one was basically early access, it was just a mod. So that was one that I'm like, okay, I'm buying that.
Please.
What's that?
That's a little bit more begging.
No, more of a bet that when it comes out, you're already going to be in the same state the other one is. I've accepted that if this is jank forever, that's what the first one was, and I loved it still.
Yeah.
But typically I avoid them. And the one thing for sure, just on the you get old and the times of you have friends that want to play something that you just go, I guess I just do it, because they might not want to do this, or this game might be dead game in air quotes, like you might not have people to play it with by then.
Yeah.
Was like I went in and played Lethal Company.
Yeah.
And I do think that's a new thing for me as far as reframing, specifically for multiplayer, of like, if people are playing this now, how confident are you that people are going to want to play this in a year?
Yeah.
I can see nobody having any fucking interest in Lethal Company in a year, let alone a couple months, because for me, I kind of don't get it. And even now, there's a bit of a regret of like, it's not regret, but you play this, and like I played with my brother, and I played with my friend Angelo from work, and it's tough because it's like at the end of the day, you're like, oh yeah, you're playing something. There's silly moments and stuff, and there's something there, but there's not a ton, and you kind of wish you're just playing Rocket League instead, or like you can just play good games, but your friends don't always want to play good games.
Yeah.
That's what sucks. Every once in a while, you're just like... It took me, like, years to get Josh to hop back in and play the Master Chief Collection, which I still gave him shit about recently when he came up recently, that he's like... It had been years of me begging him to download the Master Chief Collection and play it, then he's like, hey, these Halo games are really fun! I'm like, fuck you in the ear.
God damn it. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's my extra clause there, is that I guess I'll do it on the ones that I take a step back and go, is anyone going to play this again here? Because even right now, like, I have hopped in and booted up Phasmophobia the other day. I'm like, hey, this is actually kind of cool. It's still early access. I finally caved. I don't know if anyone's going to want to play it. And that was the other one that was, like, huge, but I actually think has a bit more game going on.
Yeah.
So, that's an interesting one this year.
That's true.
Getting old's weird.
Yeah. Early access is just weird. Like, you just... It's just
hard.
such a wild card, because some games come out of early access... Some games are in early access, like No More Room in Hell, the first one. Like, and this is just a whole-ass game that's janky. Like, that is so much more acceptable than just, like, this is a really polished half game. To me. I don't know. There's just so many...
the other.
Really?
Like, total, it's just a jank-ass game?
As far as playing goes, I'd rather have a complete game that has some jank than half of a game.
Sure, but it's not a complete game. It's just like, it's like a half game that's jank. Like,
I don't know. What I was getting at is more that, like, it's such a mixed bag of your experiences in early access, and you have no idea of knowing what flavor of fucked it's going to be, basically.
It's tough, because label or not, you can have a game that's out that feels like, wow, there's fucking... Look at Payday 3. Didn't make the Dishonorable, but I was looking forward to it. It's a piece of shit. And there's nothing to do, and it's janky as shit.
Yeah.
That it sucks when you go to play a game, and even if it's polished, like, wow, this is cool. Wait, is this it? There's like 3 missions? Yeah. Or like, you're like, this is a janky turd. And it's forever a janky turd. I'm looking at you, 7 Days to Die. How are you in early access for like 10 years?
Speaking of, I almost put on my one of my things. I played Project Zomboid with my sister this year. Speaking of early access for eons, it's like 12 years.
Engines. It's like 3D graphics now, right?
The graphics look the same.
The only constant.
The engine might have changed, but the graphics look the same.
The only constant's like the raccoon thing that they keep putting in shit.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there's zombies, I guess, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's
that's a good example of I'll play this, I guess.
And that's the thing. We should
play it because other people are playing it. Like, oh man.
We don't need to number them, but we should put a bucket of the I'll play this, I guess, games of the year. Because for me, right now, what are your I'll play this, I guess, games? Lethal Company's like top of that list right now.
Project Zomboid was on there. Oh man,
And
this is
you're
all
like-
just like pot shots at my sister
like,
and the
man.
games I play with my sister. It kind of is
And
though.
it's, oh no, mine's gonna be an Andrew. It's Warhammer.
No.
It's Warhammer everything. There's like 2 Warhammer games that are good and most suck. It's horrible. And then you just play them because they're your friend and you did the cat puzzle with them and you're 4, so you have to play bad games now.
I think
how
the biggest
friendship
one,
works.
Project Zomboid. Ember turned out to be good. Ember going in, I thought it was going to be a I play this, I guess, but that was significantly more enjoyable than than the I play this, I guess award.
The one I had a good time with the trivia. It's not play this, I guess, category. On a similar one, Jackpot games fluctuate wildly in quality.
Yeah.
And I thought the Trivia Murder Party was fun enough.
Yeah.
The second game that got paused,
The wheel
I
one.
was not feeling it at all.
Ooh, yeah, that one.
That
was
that
rough.
one totally sucked.
The Murder Party was good. Yeah. I forgot about that.
But
That's,
like
both of them are still kind of in. Yeah, I'll play this.
But
I
the
guess.
first one, I'm like, hey, this is fun.
Yeah.
Like, I if you're actually playing it and you're feeling, it's not just.
It's not just
You
there.
can roll a turd between you and a friend, like an actual turd, and you might actually feel some joy of like, you threw it at me.
Yeah.
Like, you're still playing with the turd.
Yeah.
But if the activity itself was like, there was a moment where you zoned out a bit and it wasn't just about your friend and you enjoyed it,
That's
like,
fair.
you can do that. There's
Yeah.
so many games that like Lethal Company, there's so little there.
Yeah.
There's so little. There's opportunities for your friends to get scared or for you to get scared, and even there, it's largely to actually get scared. You're just a big pussy, and I don't know what else to say. If I play too many horror games on those, but it's like there's nothing. I play it and I feel nothing, and then it ends.
Yeah.
And
You
if
play
anything,
it and then it ends.
you hope that something happens that's funny. And if the times happen where you're like, oh, we got out and they're safe. It was a bad round for me. It sucked. It was kind of boring. So Lethal Company for sure.
Project Zomboid's mine.
Project Zomboid's in yours.
I literally
Yeah.
spent my entire playtime organizing chests because that was the most entertaining part of that game for me.
The one that I think it might be. This might be the first year I played it. Was Warhammer. It's Warhammer. Here, I think it's the full title. Let's type it out.
Oh
because
god, it's like 20 words.
It's 20 words. Oh god.
Yeah. Or
Okay, it is. I need to expand my thing. Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr. It's like a Diablo style game, but there's like that's the thing is I have a save going that is still locked in time for Grim Dawn with Andrew,
yeah.
and he'll want to play this instead. I can't. It's like, hey, do you want? We have to. Oh, we gotta do the Warhammer.
Looking
one.
at all the titles of these Warhammer games next to each other is pretty. Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 2 Chaos Rising or 2 Retribution.
Well, one of those is a standalone expansion. How can you not know that? It's so clear. No, but that's the tough thing, and that's the biggest thing. Is you play this. I'll play this. I guess games are all because of a friend, right?
Yeah.
And Warhammer is Andrew's kryptonite. Anything, there's a big gun in it. We gotta buy it. Like, they said something about the Emperor. We gotta buy it. It'll be great. But he just, I thought it was going to be one. I'm like, hey, maybe it'll be good. And maybe we hop in and I'm like, this isn't good. And I thought, like, hey, maybe he would play on his own, have some fun. But he just keeps wanting to play. He's like, hey, do you want to play some of this? I'm like, do you want to play Killing Floor for the 800th time? Because your computer can't run anything else. And it's not fucking Warhammer. So it's just, that's the one my biggest, like, my gaming dream, my hope for next year. I know it's hopeless to make Andrew just realize that Warhammer's not that cool. But I hope...
Or at least all of their video games are not good.
I hope that Space Marine 2 is actually good.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm going to get roped into playing it. But there's a big possibility that it's not. Because I know people really like the first one. I really didn't care for that one. And I know I'm going to have to play it. Because I'm friends with Warhammer fan. And that's how it goes.
See, I feel like I get roped into the viral... Whatever is like the viral...
Yeah, Molly's big on the viral games, right?
It's because most of the time whenever I'm playing, it's her and all of her friends playing. And what game caters to all of that, really? Yeah. But at least she's not trying to get me to play Overwatch anymore.
That's good. Yeah, even Overwatch
that was rough. That was rough. I love you, sister, but I don't like Overwatch at all.
It's no, it's funny. So I think honorary. It's just a bucket.
It's just a bucket.
I'll play this, I guess, games. I'm so for adding that to just call out the God damn it, because where do I put Lethal Company?
Yeah.
It's not that dishonorable. I'm just here.
It's just there.
I'm here. It's a reason. It's a reason I can hop on and talk to my brother.
Honestly, Diablo 4 kind of falls into that soon. We weren't forced into playing it, but it's such a blah of a game.
I like this because it implies you're trapped.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's kind of what I'm going off of. Not the just true. Mediocre game award.
Yeah.
But of that for some reason you have to do it.
Yeah, that's true. That is a very particular flavor.
The other funny gaming anything, maybe not so funny, maybe too soon, thing that's super gaming related is... I've only been sick twice this year. And both times were when I was over at my sister's playing Boomerang Fu with my nephews. So
the curse of Boomerang.
I tie Boofu, as they call it. I'm kind of tying that game, as fun as it is, to disease. The first time, I was coughing for a month straight.
I don't know how I dodged that.
I don't know how you dodged it either. I was
mostly because
dying.
Probably you just weren't breathing in my face.
Right.
You're an adult. You have some personal space. Even as my husband.
I don't just walk around and, stand a foot from your face and talk.
Yeah. So wash your hands after you use the bathroom.
Hands, yeah. I'll take a shit and wash my hands.
Look at you.
Simple. But no, that's the funny one. I realized that game is... As much as it is a fun party game, I'm like, am I going to get sick? It's like Jets.
Yeah.
But last time.
Yeah, it's going to take a while before you can play that game without feeling sick.
I'll play it, and I'll play it with him again, and it'll fucking get me sick again. But, it is funny that I have that game tied with them, and specifically now it's also tied with sick, because it's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
2 for 2. Yeah.
What do you have to say, Dale? What was your favorite game of the year?
You beat Alan Wake with me.
I think you would choose Dredge, because that was 8 hours back to back.
We didn't move. We ordered pizza and took shits, and that was about it.
Alan Wake had breaks, but
yeah, Alan Wake was very drawn out because I was not super feeling it. But we were fishermen.
So Dale's game of the year is Dredge, because that's when he got to have the most uninterrupted daddy lap time.
I think you're right. Okay, well, hey, thanks for doing this with me again, and we'll, I'll throw that on the next one as the,
I'll play this, I guess.
I'll play this, I guess. Games I was, I play this, I guess, is good wording. Or, something implying the entrapment. Yeah. We'll play with it, we'll play with it. Alright. See you next year.